Peace, peace, peace to the family. Just want to first of all say my ashe, and to all those who have lost someone and going through difficult times, and want to give you power, ashe. And always remember that there's always the memory of that person is always with us. Our ancestors lived through us, and we live through those shared experiences. And we have to constantly, as melanated people, speak positively to each other, despite having disagreements. Continue to lift each other up, continue to rock with each other, and be able to hash out our problems and have some level of unity during these challenging times. So when I say to the ancestors, just call out your ancestors. Operating off of love and light is what I always say. And ashe. Okay. So the worldwide reparations movement has begun. Okay, from Scotland to Detroit. Now we go over here. Laura Trevelyan, an anchor and correspondent with the BBC, was shocked to discover her ancestors had enslaved Africans in the Caribbean island of Grenada. Despite abolishing slavery, none of the families of the enslaved received restitution or reparations, including those of more than 1,000 Africans enslaved by Trevelyan's ancestors. To make amends, she and David Lascelles co-founded Heirs of Slavery, a group encouraging wealthy British families who profited from the past enslavement to make formal apologies and seek reparative justice in the form of Caribbean colonies. Today in Grenada, 7 members of the Trevelyan family presented a formal letter of apology to the people of this Caribbean island, saying that we apologize for the actions of our ancestors in holding your ancestors in slavery. 104 members of the Trevelyan family signed the apology. Okay, so this group is lobbying the British government to engage with CARICOM for debt relief and investment in health and education. Trevelyan hopes this long overdue reckoning with reparations will lead to acknowledgement and healing. So this is, the process is definitely beginning in regards to actual payment to people, descendants of slaves, foundational Black Americans. It will be interesting to see if they do some type of okey-doke move in regards to, the new digital payments coming in. Yeah, we'll give you restitution, but you're going to get restitution under these digital payments, right? You got to spend the money where we say you got to spend it. You see what I'm saying? So I'm hoping it's not something like that. This is why I recommend it's good to have restitution in multiple different forms, if when that time comes. Detroit reparations face some challenges. So there are some snags, of course, in the Detroit reparations. They put together the task force around July 13th, 2022. They were putting together this task force and finally got it launched. And the Detroit Reparations Task Force is in its initial stages and exploring ways to amend for the long-standing systemic racism in the United States, with a focus on housing and economic development opportunities for Detroiters. However, Detroit's challenges differ from those of other cities, such as San Francisco, where a similar committee proposed $5 million in cash payouts to citizens in Evanston, Illinois, where up to $25,000 to applicants for housing programs. So some restitution here. Co-chairs Lauren Hood and Keith Williams emphasized that compensation for Detroit requires a policy shift in how the city governs Black Detroiters, and that the cash payouts may not be the best approach. A broader institutional system involving multiple actors, including government, non-government organizations, and institutions, may be more effective, according to co-chairs Lauren Hood and Keith Williams. Now, of course, I'm going to disagree with that, but we're going to continue on. Williams, who also chairs the Michigan Democratic Black Caucus, highlighted the importance of understanding how much wealth was lost through racist practices such as raising of the Black Bottom District. now known as Lafayette Park, to build a freeway. Williams also called for official apology to the black community for the decades of old highway project built under urban development auspices, labeling the community as a slum. Williams also emphasized the need for a body that can continue the task force work, hold institutions and city governments accountable, and ensure policies and practices do not further harm those who have been initially affected. The 13-member task force has a $350,000 budget for the next 18 months, with some funds potentially being spent on housing and economic development consultants. So the task force will provide a written report to Detroit City Council with its findings and recommendations in 18 months, but Hood hopes it continues its work beyond that period. The task force first meeting involved more than a dozen residents pushing for change, such as cash payments, taxing wealthy developers, and holding financial institutions accountable amid foreclosures. However, Hood expressed disappointment at the lower than expected turnout, given the overwhelming support for successful ballot initiatives to establish the task force. The next meeting is in June for organizational work. That's it for this short video update.